Hi everybody. I know it's been almost a month, close to a month since since I last done a video on my channel. A lot of stuff's been going on, work and you know simple things. And even though I've done like 82 videos so far on my channel, I'm amazed I've actually cranked out this many. And well, I eventually wanted to do a video where I wanted to get on camera and show myself because I'm a bit camera shy. So I apologize for that. I will eventually try to get comfortable in filming myself as I do video reviews and whatnot. So I figure, well, since I kind of took like a bit of a month-long hiatus, I decided what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start I don't know, I'm not going to exactly do these videos like back to back, like, one after the other, but eventually I'll probably like, make a folder to kind of put all the videos together. And, because I wanted to do a video or a series of videos because I wanted to do like, how some years you actually see a pair of movies come out that both kind of share the same similar concept? Well, this is one of the videos I want to talk about because right here I went to go see The Meg 2, The Trench in theaters, which, by the way, I actually enjoyed. I thought it was awesome. I'll probably do a video review of The Meg here momentarily. Maybe I'll do one right after I do this video, but I got to do this one first because I kind of have these two movies fresh in my mind. And they are Deep Star 6 and Leviathan. Both debuted the same year in 1989. They both involve very similar concepts to each other. They're both underwater horror sci-fi thrillers, which is kind of funny because they both debuted the same year as The Abyss, which also is an underwater thriller, but there's one major difference. In The Abyss, the alien life form that they encounter in the water is actually friendly and is not hostile toward the crew. However, unlike The Abyss, in these two films, in Deep Star 6 and Leviathan, the life form they come across is anything but friendly. It's hostile, and it basically wants to destroy all life that it comes across. Both movies tried to take on each other at the box office. Both unfortunately failed. Both were made on fairly decent budgets, and both were made by, respectable filmmakers. Deep Star 6 was directed by Sean S. Cunningham, who was probably best known for directing one of the greatest slasher films ever, Friday the 13th. And Leviathan was directed by George P. Cosmatos, who was the director of films like Rambo First Blood Part 2, Cobra, and one of the greatest action westerns ever, Tombstone. So, yeah, like I said, both of these movies share similar concepts. They're both about underwater facilities that somehow come across a hostile life form that proceeds to literally tear the facility apart and kill each of the crew members one by one. Although they're both different. Like in Deep Star 6, the life form they come across is actually some kind of underwater creature that gets loose after a mining operation accidentally unearths a hole, and they find some kind of life form that literally gets aboard the ship and starts killing everybody. So, yeah, like I said, there's not really much to say when it comes to story. I mean, like I said, Deep Star 6 kind of has a bit of a slow pace to it because much of the horror doesn't take place until, like, near the end. Like, when the creature gets loose on the ship and starts killing everybody. It doesn't really occur until, like, near the tail end of the movie. But the build-up, though, obviously, the suspense and build-up is really what kind of makes it work well, more or less. Also, it's interesting because on the back here for Deep Star 6, Louis Abernathy, who did the story and was one of the screenwriters, it's interesting because he actually worked with James Cameron on The Abyss, and he would go on to work with him on Titanic. And it's also interesting because Carlco Pictures, the company that released Deep Star 6, also released Terminator 2 Judgment Day for James Cameron. So there's an interesting connection there. Anyway, Leviathan, also, well, this time, however, the creature is like a parasitic life form, because the crew aboard the underwater facility find a sunken Russian ship and they discover like a bottle of vodka that unfortunately has some kind of DNA or mutated gene that unfortunately grows inside the humans, and it ultimately unleashes a powerful monster. So, although it says alien underwater, I would probably describe Leviathan as more like the Thing. Imagine if the Thing, instead of it taking place in the South Pole, imagine if it took place underwater, in an underwater facility. That's pretty much what Leviathan is. Although, yeah, Leviathan being the Titan of the sea, pretty much. So, but yeah, they, like I said, both of these films do share similar concepts with each other. More or less, they both do, and they both star a pretty decent cast of actors in both films. Deep Star 6 has Miguel Ferrer, Matt McCoy, Cindy Pickett. So there's that, and Leviathan actually has the more popular one. Leviathan's got Peter Weller, RoboCop, Richard Crenna, who of course was Colonel Sam Troutman in all the Rambo movies. It's funny because George Cosmatos did direct Richard Crenna in Rambo First Blood Part 2. Amanda Pays, Daniel Stern, best known as Marv from Home Alone, Ernie Hudson, Winston Zeddemore from Ghostbusters, Hector Elizondo, I've seen him in a couple of movies. In fact, that's him right there. And also, the creature effects in the movie were, I think Deep Star 6, the creature effects were done by K&B, you know, Robert Kurtzman, Greg Nicotero, and Howard Berger. Leviathan's effects were done by Stan Winston. And it's kind of interesting because when I mentioned that this movie is more The Thing than it is Alien, Stan Winston was one of the guys that worked on The Thing. Written by David Peoples, who wrote Blade Runner, and Jeb Stewart, who wrote both Die Hard and The Fugitive. That's interesting. Well, Die Hard came out right before Leviathan did, and he would go on to write The Fugitive. So, yeah, this actually has a pretty solid cast of actors, and Jerry Goldsmith did the score. Who scored Deep Star 6? Harry Manfredini. Well, there you go. There's another connection with Sean Cunningham, because he scored Friday the 13th for him. Interesting. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people like to say Sean Cunningham is a master of horror, even though he really, well, I mean, when you look at his filmography, he really didn't direct that many horror films. I mean, aside from Friday the 13th and Deep Star 6, but he did actually work on Wes Craven's first movie, Last House on the Left, and he produced House and House 2, The Second Story. The first House was directed by Steve Miner, who did direct Friday the 13th Parts 2 and 3 for Paramount, the sequels that followed the original, helmed by Sean Cunningham. Interesting connection. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that, and I believe Jerry Goldsmith did collaborate with George Cosmatos in the past. Yes, he did actually. He scored Rambo First Blood Part 2 for him, so that's interesting. Luigi and Aurelio De Laurentiis, trying to figure out what their connections are with Dino. I don't know if they're his sons. I'm not sure, or relatives. I'm not sure. I hadn't looked into that prior to looking at this movie. I mean, I decided to watch both back to back because, like I said, I kind of got the underwater thriller buzz after watching Meg 2, so I figured I just recently picked these two up, and I figured, well, I might as well just pop them in and, give them a watch. I will say they're both actually pretty intense. They're both fun to watch. I know a lot of people, they're definitely not going to appeal to everybody because they're kind of like, if you're in the mood for a good creepy thriller, because both of these movies take place in claustrophobic conditions where there's like an Alien, you're trapped on a ship in the middle of nowhere in space, and you got a horrific monster running loose and going around killing everybody. Deep Star 6, yeah, it's an underwater creature, and in Leviathan, I think I'm sorry, excuse me. I think Leviathan is in some ways more terrifying because the creature is not something they find in the ocean. It's something that, in a way, comes from within. Because, like I said, the creature is it's a parasitic life form that grows inside of humans. So that's why I've said before, I don't know why the LA Times said, oh, it's alien underwater. It kind of is, but I dare to correct and say it's more The Thing than Alien. As I said, both of these movies were released in 1989, and of course, they both went up against The Abyss. The Abyss ended up being the bigger moneymaker of the two films, but unfortunately, neither of these films were big moneymakers. Deep Star 6 made like, I don't know, about $8 million. Leviathan was a bit more successful, but it was still not enough to surpass its budget. Leviathan was made on a budget of $21 million, and I think it only grossed like 19 million. But both went on to become big cult favorites thanks to home video debuts, and eventually I finally got them both here on Blu-ray. Deep Star 6 is the easier of the two to get a hold of. Leviathan, not so much. But both were actually released by very respective companies. Deep Star 6 was released by Kino. I'll take a look at this one real fast here. Inside here, of course, there's a reversible cover sleeve, which is pretty cool, but I still prefer the original theatrical poster art, which is pretty awesome. Kind of iconic. Took me a while to realize that was that's a diver suit being ripped in half, which, by the way, thankfully does happen in the movie. So, sorry. Deep Star 6, yeah, the disc art, yeah, it's pretty much the same as pretty much any Kino disc. When did this come out? When was this released on Blu-ray? 2020, actually, so it's fairly recent. Definitely the more recent of the two, because I think Leviathan was released by Shout Factory, and I think this one was released back in 2014, actually. Yeah, 2014. So Deep Star 6, the picture quality on the disc is not the best, but it definitely, it definitely suffices for a film like this, especially being made in '89. It is somewhat dark, and it's kind of muddy, but for the most part, it delivers the picture that it is promising. So I will give it that at least. The audio is presented. Well, it's DTS, but it doesn't say. Unfortunately, it doesn't say on the back here. What the audio track is. I don't know why it doesn't say that. I know the film is presented in 235 1080p, so that's at least good enough to know there. The only thing I gotta say is Kino discs are kind of up and down. Some of them are actually good. Some are kind of definitely more deserving. Like they could do a better job. And Kino has started to re-release some of their titles on Blu-ray with a better transfer and with a bigger bonus feature package. So for the most part, yeah, there is a slight little glitch I noticed in the Blu-ray. There's like a scene where Cindy Pickett's character, the doctor, there's a scene in which she's talking, and then right after she finishes talking, the audio cuts out. And I thought it was a glitch because I had to rewind the movie real quick to see if I missed it. And I'm like, I thought there was a glitch in the Blu-ray. I'm like, no, it's actually part of the movie. It's kind of odd. Other than that, though, the rest of the movie played just fine, so the disc didn't even skip or anything, so perfect. The audio is actually not bad. It actually works just as good as the video. I think it's even better. I would say for the video, out of 5 stars, I'd probably give the video maybe a 3.5 out of 5. The audio, I would say probably it's actually better than it look. It definitely sounds better than it looks. So I would say out of 5 stars, I'd probably say 4.5 for the audio. As for the bonus features, believe it or not, there's actually a great supplemental package to be found here. If anybody owned the original DVD by, I think Artisan Entertainment put out the original DVD. I never owned the original release, so it only came with like a couple of things, like maybe an original small featurette and some behind-the-scenes stuff, but Kino went above and beyond and put out quite a stellar supplemental package for Deep Star 6. Starting off, we get 2 audio commentaries, one with Sean Cunningham and visual effects supervisor James Isaac, who, by the way, actually went on to direct a Friday the 13th movie. He went on to direct Jason X. So that's interesting to know. Unfortunately, he's no longer around. He passed away a few years back. The second commentary has screenwriters Louis Abernathy and Geoff Miller. I'm not sure if I pronounced his name right. If I didn't, I apologize. Louis Abernathy is no doubt an interesting person to hear talk about the movie. No doubt he does. I'm sure he does bring up. Wonder if he. I mean, yeah, because he figured that he was the one that came up with the story. I didn't listen to either commentary, but no doubt. I'm wondering if Louis Abernathy will talk about James Cameron in a way. I'm sure he will probably bring him up because he worked with him on The Abyss, and this commentary was recorded probably not long ago. There's technically a third commentary because we get an isolated score track and an interview with composer Harry Manfredini, so it kind of acts as like a third commentary. Some Blu-rays, some DVDs and Blu-rays actually have this. I know a lot of the Western Video Collector Series Blu-rays do have audio interviews with the composer with an isolated score track. From the Deep is a little documentary that kind of looks back on the creature effects and all the artists that worked on the film. I take it back. I said K&B worked on the film. I don't think Howard Berger. I don't know if he was involved. I'm not sure, but yeah, Greg Nicotero and Robert Kurtzman did some of the effects work, and Mark Sjostrom, who they actually collaborated with on many projects. The Survivors, interviews with actors Greg Evigan and Nancy Everhard, who play the. In fact, that's them right there. Water Damage, interview with stunt coordinator Kane Hodder, best known as Jason from Friday the 13th. Well, he's the most recognizable actor that played Jason. He's played him the most. There's some vintage interview clips, original EPK, electronic press kit, for those of you that didn't know what EPK means. It's basically a little featurette that was actually made during the film's production, so it's going to show its age, no doubt. Some behind-the-scenes footage, image gallery, theatrical trailer, and TV spots. So honestly, I'm surprised that Kino didn't put like a special edition or collector's edition release on the front cover, because with the amount of bonus material that's included here, that's actually a decent amount. I would say out of 5 stars, the bonus materials, the extras, get a solid 5 out of 5 for me. So yeah, in conclusion, for Deep Star 6, the video is, it's so-so. It's actually not bad. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. The audio is actually better than the video looks. And the bonus features are plentiful. Lots of stuff here on the making of this little movie that didn't make much at the box office, but yet it actually houses an incredible supplemental package. So honestly, bravo for Kino. Another solid winner here. And if you can find Deep Star 6 on Blu-ray, which I actually was able to find fairly easily. I think I got it for under $20, but you can somehow find it. It's actually a rather interesting little intense underwater thriller. So it's definitely one to check out. Now let's take a look at Leviathan's Blu-ray, which I have, again, by, it says here, Scream Factory, but it's actually Shout Factory. Well, Scream and Shout are the same thing, so. Well, it's, I would say it's about ditto with the picture quality on Leviathan. I would say, maybe a little better than what Deep Star 6 offered, but it's still not a perfect disc. Again, there's the reversible cover sleeve, but again, I still prefer the original theatrical poster art, which is pretty cool. So, so yeah, it's pretty neat. I like how Kino is starting to do, like, reversible cover sleeves for many of their titles, which is pretty awesome. But Leviathan, yeah, Shout Factory does once again do the same thing. The video, I would say, is, again, a pretty solid release of the movie. I would say out of 5 stars, I'd probably give the video a 4 out of 5. The audio, once again, I would say, well, the audio is, the movie's also presented in 235x1 widescreen anamorphic. The audio is only in DTS stereo, so it's 2.0 DTS. You know what? I didn't check to see if the Deep Star 6 Blu-ray had Oh yeah, it did. It does have English subtitles, and those are the only ones that are available. So, now Leviathan, I'm not sure if it actually does come with subtitles. I don't even know, because it doesn't even say here on the back. Yeah, because normally it would actually show subtitles in the back here, but I guess maybe it doesn't. I guess not. But the audio track on the Leviathan is actually not bad. It sounds pretty good, actually. I'm surprised. So I would say it's about ditto with the video. I would say 4 stars for the audio there. As for the bonus features, unfortunately, Leviathan is not anywhere near as it's nowhere near as feature packed as what Deep Star 6 has to offer, but what's on here though is actually not too bad. Get a brand new documentary with interviews featuring a couple of the actors in the film. One actor, Hector Elizondo, and creature effects artist Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. Tom Woodruff Jr. no doubt played one of the main creatures in the film, and the film's theatrical trailer. So the supplemental package on Leviathan is kind of limited. Well, the Blu-ray I think came out in 2014, because around that time I think George Cosmatos had I think he had since passed on at that point. So unfortunately he wouldn't be around to do interviews. But nonetheless though, I would say for the bonus material, since there's not really a lot on here, I would say probably 2, maybe 2.5, give or take. Sorry, my foot's kind of getting numb from because I'm kind of sitting down, kneeling over while doing this. So yeah, I'd say probably about a 2.5 for the extras. The only sad thing is Leviathan is not an easy one to get a hold of. This one's out of print, but I was really lucky in finding a good copy of it on eBay. So, and it was one I've been trying to get a hold of on Blu-ray for a while. So, yeah, sorry, and I can kind of barely see me there. But yeah, honestly, both of these films are actually, but I would say between the two, I think Leviathan has the upper hand. I would say it's the better of the two films. I mean, creature effects wise, yes, it definitely has way better. So, now that I've talked about both films, I know I want to kind of do like a which one is better comparison, but I want to try to avoid that because there are people that are obviously fans more of this one, of Deep Star 6, than they are of Leviathan, and there obviously are fans more that like Leviathan way more than Deep Star 6. But again, it's all about, it's really all about what you like better. It's all about a matter of taste. And I think both movies actually are perfect for, back-to-back viewing, whichever way you want to watch them. They both, like I said, the one thing that is for sure, the ending to both movies is somewhat similar. In fact, Deep Star 6's ending is actually similar to what Friday the 13th's ending is, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hadn't seen the movie, but Leviathan, like I said, both share almost the same identical ending, almost. But I would say Leviathan has, I think it's a little bit more intense. There's more action in it. Besides, George Cosmatos is more of an action director than anything else. I mean, having helmed Rambo First Blood Part 2 and Cobra, which are both literally full-on action fests. Deep Star 6, Sean Cunningham, he's not really much of an action director. He's more of a, well, like I said, he's not really, I mean, when it comes, as I said, when it comes to horror film, when it comes to movies, Sean Cunningham really hasn't directed that many horror films. He's only helmed a couple. I mean, everybody knows him for Friday the 13th, but other than that, he really hasn't helmed that many horror movies. Not as much as I know of. As for Leviathan, George Cosmatos, well, Cobra is kind of a horror movie. It's a slasher film in a way, yeah. Kind of is, but yeah, Leviathan is more, I mean, it definitely fits it. But yeah, I would say it's definitely the more action-oriented of the two films. So, either way, if you can somehow find these movies on any home video format, DVD or Blu-ray, you can get Deep Star 6 pretty cheap on Blu-ray. Like I said, it's about $20, maybe less, depending on where you get it at. Leviathan, this one might be a little harder to come by, but if you can somehow get your hands on it at a good price or find a streaming service somewhere that actually has the movie, I'd say give it a watch. These both are actually pretty good. I mean, like I said, when compared to The Abyss, they feel similar, but they are not really. But either way, they're both actually worth a look, if you can somehow get your hands on them. Anyway, this concludes the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully I'll try to do more videos instead of, taking a month off to do another one. So hopefully I'll try to do more in the days to come, whenever I have a fresh day off work, or if, I'm not if I'm more available to try to do some stuff. So until then, everybody take care and be safe. And if you love this stuff, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And I did change my channel name to Unknown Lionheart, because I kind of like the name a little more. For those of you that, because some people I had to literally tell on my Facebook page and my Instagram page. So until then, everybody take care and be safe.